Yeah, buddy, today I'm showing you how to make keto chocolate chip cookies. These cookies came out moist, fluffy, and even stood up to my dunk test. And the best part, each one only has 2 net carbs, which translates to I can eat a crap ton of these cookies and still not feel bogged down and sluggish. So stick around if you want to learn how to make delicious keto chocolate chip cookies. This is Coach Sean's Kitchen. So before we get started, if you enjoy watching these videos and you get something out of them, please consider subscribing, sharing, or just telling a friend about them. This is the best thing you can do if you enjoy watching Coach Sean's Kitchen. Now, full disclosure, this is not my keto chocolate chip cookie recipe. I am a great chef, I am not a good baker. The big difference between being a chef and baking comes down to practice. As far as chefing, I can taste as I go. I can adjust for seasoning on the fly, and I can come up with new recipes very quickly. But baking takes time and deliberate practice. You have to track the ingredients, the amounts, even things like the weather and the humidity and your altitude. Baking is such a beautiful art that takes a lot of time to master. I promise I'll get there, but in the meantime, you guys asked for a great low-carb keto cookie, and this is what I've got for you. So to kick off our keto chocolate chip cookies, we're gonna add a whole bunch of melted butter to a whole bunch of erythritol. I love using erythritol because gram for gram, it has 6% of the calories as table sugar, but still maintains 70% of the sweetness. Also, when healthy people consume erythritol, it doesn't have any effects on the blood sugar or their insulin, and it's such a great substitute for diabetics. So once everything is in the bowl, we're gonna thoroughly mix it until it's well incorporated. If you guys have a stand mixer, I highly suggest you use that instead. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and add 1 egg along with some vanilla extract. Once again, we'll stir our ingredients until everything just comes together. Next up, let's go ahead and introduce the dry team. So into our bowl, we're gonna add some almond flour, some baking powder, some xanthan gum, and some salt. Now, if you've never used xanthan gum, it is nothing to be afraid of. It is a great thickener to keep around in your kitchen. Now, let's go ahead and mix our cookie dough together, and you'll start to notice that this is one of those few keto or low carb doughs that actually looks like the real thing. Let's go ahead and add in our chocolate chips. Today, I'm using Lily's milk chocolate chips. Lily's is a staple in our household. We love to use it. Most people don't realize that chocolate isn't naturally sweet. Instead, manufacturers add a bunch of sugar to cocoa in order to create the chocolate you're more accustomed to. What Lily's has done is instead of adding all of that sugar, they add stevia instead. So now that our cookie dough is together, let's go ahead and dish out some cookies. I love using an ice cream scooper for this because it gives me incredible control over the portion size of my cookie. I always recommend going with a larger pan and less cookies on it. That way you don't overcrowd your oven and your cookies aren't bleeding into one another. It's always worth the effort of washing one more pan. So I'm gonna put these cookies into a 350-degree convection oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. So after 5 minutes, I like to check my cookies, and if I notice that they're not spreading, I'll take a piece of parchment paper and I'll press them down until they hit that traditional cookie shape. So I've just pulled my cookies out of the oven and you can see they look amazing. It's incredibly difficult to believe that these are keto or low carb cookies. Now the hard part, letting the cookies rest. With traditional cookies, nothing is better than that warm, gooey cookie out of the oven. Now I'm not saying these cookies are not good right now, but I am saying that every keto or low carb cookie that I've had always tastes better once they've fully cooled. I'm not sure why, and if anybody out there smarter than me knows the reason, please, I would love to hear it. But as far as they came out, they were great while still warm, and now that it's been a day, I've had a few, these cookies are even better the next day. Now the real test of a cookie has to be the milk test. I've tried so many keto cookie recipes that as soon as they hit a glass of milk, they just crumble apart. But as you can see, these cookies had great success. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Coach Sean's Kitchen. And if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing so I can keep bringing you great videos like how to make keto cookies. And as always, you can make anything homemade and healthy.